don't want to clickbait you or anything, so I did not play any hands with Andrew or Brad. I showed up late to the Meetup game, and they already played at my table. It was a lot of fun, though, playing with some fellow poker vlog watchers, and I did meet Brad at the end, which is cool, and I hope you enjoy the poker vlog. Today is Friday, so it's Andrew, Neeme, and Brad Owen Meetup game. I gotta bring everything one needs for a poker road trip. Money, check. Fuel, check. Gas, check. And by the way, this is my card. So what's gonna be more, gas for this guy or the rake?
If you're going to San Francisco.
It's 6.5 hours later, but I made it to Graton. A little traffic and more construction than I expected. Half an hour pit stop for lunch, but I'm here, ready to get the Meetup game rocking. Let's go. Graton is definitely one of my favorite casinos. Beautiful, clean room, and you can also match the biggest stack at the table. I played 1-3 PLO while waiting for the seat for the big Meetup game. At the PLO, though, I'm already down $123 from there, playing about half an hour. $2K more to my stack here, so total of $2,500. Exactly $2,377 in the Hold'em game. Let's get the cards in the air. Standard hand pre-flop, and I absolutely crush a very static board. No draws and hard for anyone to improve or even continue without an ace. Out of position 4 ways, so I just decided to check. Of course, could put out a small bet of maybe around 30 as well. Checks through, and a perfect turn actually improves us, adding a nut flush draw. I bet 40, get 2 callers. River fills in the flush. Hopefully someone has a smaller one, and I bet $100. The first player folds, and the second puts in a small raise. I snap call, and he says, nice call. Not really. If you see my hand, which everybody does, very standard, he mucks. Just a preview of how good the game is going to go for me. Pretty standard pre-flop with me opening in the hijack, getting the most action player at the table to call on the button. Can fold, not a great hand, but with not much 3-betting behind, being deep stack in late position, I like the open. Easy continue with a gut shot and a flush draw, a board that should hit my range more with an ace. After a call, I pick up more outs with an upgrade to an up and down straight draw, bet 75 for 70% pot, and get another call. Perfect river in the offsuit deuce bails us out. Super disguised nuts, having a 6-high straight and not just the wheel. I put out another 70% pot size bet, hoping villain either has a 5 and will raise me, or just raises me anyway, thinking I should almost never have a 5 myself here. He does indeed raise, a click back min raise. Seems like he will either have a 5 and snap call, or pretty much fold everything else. I go for max value, no snap call, and he's actually going into the tank. But ends up folding. Can't put him on a hand that would play this way, but take another one down. First ever double board bomb pot for me, and I immediately see a 3 in the window for the first one, and not a bad board for the second one either. The only hands I'm too scared of here, since I have bottom set, are pocket kings or queens, have me beat on both, or jack 10, because that's up and down versus my set, and I'm drawing very thin on the other board. After a bet, I go for the raise. I can either try to take the whole pot down for the villain hitting on the other board, or I can try to get him to call with the second best hand on my board, like king queen specifically. The villain folds 10-7. Almost for sure a split there. I'll take it. A second double board bomb pot gives us top boat on the first board, with one player actually saying, that's me. The second board also gives us top pair. Hard to mess this one up, but maybe I even did that. I put out a small bet out there, and everybody folds. I also raise with ace-king of hearts, and get the same action player to call in position on me, going to this beauty of a flop. I bet into him, and he folds as well. Huge hands, just not huge pots. I can't hit huge every time, though. Standard pre-flop with pretty much the same opponents I have been playing with all sessions, so only this side of the table. Up and down to the nut straight draw, and I could bet, but decided to check call, as that is my default against action players, and we are still going 3 ways to a board that pairs the board in a 4. The action player bets 40% pot when check to, and the small blind calls. I think about the hand, and it is really hard for any villain to have a big hand that could stand the heat. Pocket queens or jacks likely 3-bet pre. Queen jack is now counterfeited to aces and kings. Pocket fours makes sense, but that is quads. With a loose player betting as well. Perfect spot for a raise. Got decent equity and looking to take it down here. Use my lucky image, which is definitely true so far, with everyone thinking I always have it. I 4x the raise, and the plan works pretty quickly. Semi-bluff gets through here. That was it for me, as I was heading toward my friend Scott's house for the night. Out for $41.75, a Meetup game profit of $17.98, and a total profit at Graton of $16.75. Pretty good. Afterwards, I met Brad and his family in the lounge for a bit afterwards. Super nice, and it was great talking with them. Didn't meet Andrew that day, as he was still grinding away. I heard was looking to try to get even. From my perspective, Meetup games are recommended, but they are so packed now you might not get much action time with the VIPs as they'll be traveling around the tables. Super long day of about 7 hours of driving ends up with some pool. I had a pool and ping pong table in my garage growing up. Was better at ping pong, but I did learn to play unorthodox in both, and that is strangely generally true with all sports. I shoot a basketball like a girl, hit a baseball like Jeff Bagwell, and play pool like a caveman. I did make that shot, by the way, and won. Hiked the next morning in Walnut Creek, and before I head off to my other friend's place, where the two of them just moved in, straight in the heart of San Francisco, to my old stopping grounds of California Graton Casino I go. Just for an hour, since it was only a few miles away. Only one hand I want to talk about. Couple limps to me, and I decide to limp behind with the 4-3 of spades. Not a huge winning play, of course. I do like going multi-way with the second best position with this hand, which is what happens. 6 ways, and we flop a steel wheel straight flush. Just the wrong suit. I bet over the pot, charge the draws and top pairs, and can get away with it since we're starting with a small pot. I get a half pot lead on the turn from the one caller. No. Can't pick your own price against me. Raise it up to 175, and he makes the call, getting 2-1. River is blank, and I check it back, thinking he was most likely not going to call again and was looking for a heart. He does let us know he missed, so wouldn't have got value anyway. Up 370 in just an hour. Running really good, playing pretty good. Now off to my favorite disc golf course, same as in the earlier vlog with Brazilian Pedro, this time with a different Ryan, not the Ryan from the last vlog, baseball player Ryan.
Nice job.
Five. Parked my tank back in its spot in slow. Ended up with a pure poker profit of $21.89. So in booking terms, it's a $2,045 win. I won 17 hands and a total of an estimated 140. Rake, I guessed, averaged $5 a hand. Tipped on average a little over 3, with 75 on the gas. Rake takes this one down. Now just 3 more big hands from Central Coast Casino to close out my November. A garbage hand in Hold'em turns into a garbage hand in PLO. You do indeed get 4 cards, so you can flop anything. This time, top 2 pair. 2 pair is a very tough hand to play in PLO, even more so multi-way, and even more so out of position. I do call a bet, and 3 ways to the turn where I now have top 3 pair. The same Ryan as in the discussion last video, not baseball Ryan, and the owner of the poker room. I'll go to a river after Dave bets pot. I do fill up, put out a half-size pot bet, trying to get value from Jack 5 or possibly 3s. Ryan calls, looks good, definitely not losing there. And Dave, representing strength all the way, pots again. Losing to specifically Jacks or Kings. I do double block those. Plus, Ryan, I'm guessing for sure, has a full house. Seems like a good candidate to look Dave up with. Think he might bank on Kings or Jacks from Ryan and I raising at some point, so we would fold so often. I call, and Ryan lets the table know how weird this hand is playing out, showing King 5. A little good news, as now I'm only losing to pocket Jacks. And for those that saw this coming, Dave did indeed have Jacks. Tough spot, but maybe at some point I could have gotten away. Not sure. Very interesting hand that could be justified in taking many different lines. A $15 button straddle from a loose player, and I make it 75 going to a 3-way flop. A tiny bet after this flop from the button, and a call from the small blind. I do have an in-between hand with an in-between backdoor nut flush draw / blocker. I could have bet the flop. Now I could semi-bluff. I decide on a call though, and on the turn, pretty similar action, but this time, after the button bets 1/3 pot, the small blind folds. Again, similar iffy decision here, could semi-bluff or call. Fold does seem more reasonable here than on the flop, but I do think that's the worst play, and I make the call. River is now perfect card, slam dunk to bluff. Try to get an ace to fold, even though loose players don't particularly like it. But with the nut flush and straight blocker, I go for it. 500 for 3/4, and he makes the fold after a little deliberation, but maybe he was saving face. Many lines to take with this being the most interesting hand, I believe, of the vlog. How would you have played it? Big action hand to close out this episode. Button straddle with a small raise, a call, and a re-raise from the same gentleman from an earlier memorable hand, getting Ace-Jack of Hearts 3K deep in pre-flop against me. So he is an action player. I 4-bet, likely having the best hand and position. We actually face a 5-bet from him to 550. Call now seems like the best option, as I don't want to give up my positional advantage and shove, even though he might call me with worse. And I also don't want to keep him from bluffing and have him fold a worse hand, like a smaller pair or suited ace that's bluffing or something like that. I flop an overpair to about a 1.2k pot with double of that behind, and it gets checked to me. I am going to want to bet with many overpairs, but with the 10 of hearts blocking many of the draws, seems like a decent candidate to check back, which is what I do. Another low card, and villain jams for more than double the pot. Not loving it now with the blockers, but I do make the call. Definitely can name a second best hand he would do it with, thinking it's for value. Something like Ace-9 suited or something like that. Maybe he's putting me on big cards. Even though being results oriented, he does river me and beats me with a better 2-pair. Biggest pot I have ever lost. Apparently, I can't win every single big pot I play. Losing over the month in total, booked some huge losses that topped out at 4K, which is pretty much the monthly total. Good luck to all of you in the future, as December and January, I believe, are great months for poker action. I will talk to you all in the new year.